Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Dice Masters with James and Zach. I'm Zach.
Hello, I'm James. Hello.
Welcome back to How to Play Dice Masters. This is part two. If you haven't yet, I would highly recommend that you see part one, where we talk about the overview of the game of Dice Masters, as well as purchasing and fielding characters. But in this video, we're going to draw some blood, we're going to do some attacking and defending, and see how that all works. So, at the end of the last video, I had finished my roll and re-roll step, and I ended up with these 4 dice. And so it is time to move on to my main step. And in my main step, the very most important thing that I want to do this turn is I want to get this Steve Trevor out into the field. Steve Trevor is level 3, which is just the third face on his die here. He's got a fielding cost of 1, he's got an attack of 4, and a defense of only 1. So I need to spend 1 energy to field him, but it can be any type of energy. It doesn't matter. I have 2 masks, so I'll go ahead and spend one of those masks. I will send it out of play, and I will put Steve Trevor out into my field zone. I have 2 other energy left over, which I could use to buy a character, but I don't really have any other 2-cost characters that I can buy. So I'm just going to go ahead and save that energy. I'm not going to spend it this turn, and I'll leave it there. So now at the end of my main step, I'm going to pass priority to James and ask him if he wants to do anything. James, what do you think?
I've got absolutely nothing that I could do, so I'll pass priority right back to you, Zach.
All right, so now that we've passed priority, it is time to go on to the attack step, finally. So during the attack step, I'm going to declare as many attackers as I want, and I can declare attackers even if they just got out into the field. So Steve Trevor, even though it's the first turn he's out, I can attack with him. If I had any other characters, I could also attack with them. I'm going to make sure that I assign all of my attackers at the same time. So I'm just going to go ahead and attack with my only die, and I'm going to move Steve Trevor from the field zone into the attack zone, where he's ready to go get James. Now, James has to decide how he's going to assign blockers.
Okay, so I've got an attacking Steve, and I've got 2 choices at this point. Either I let him go through unblocked, and I don't block at all, or I block him with one of the characters in my field. Luckily, I do have at least one character that I can block with. If I let him go through unblocked, he's going to assign all his attack in damage to me. And his attack is 4, so that's going to take me down from 20 life to 16, which is a significant chunk at this point of the game. So I think it probably would be in my best interests to block him. And to do that, what I'm going to do is move my sidekick into the attack zone, even though he's defending. And that shows Zach that I am blocking his Steve with my sidekick.
Now that all attackers and blockers have been declared, it's time to go on to damage. My Steve die is going to deal his 4 attack to James's sidekick.
And my sidekick die is going to assign or deal its 1 damage to Steve.
Because Steve only has 1 defense, the 1 attack from the sidekick is going to be enough to get him knocked out. So instead of being attacking, he's been knocked out by a sidekick, and he's going to end up in the prep area.
And similarly, Steve's attack of 4 is more than sufficient to knock out my little sidekick, who only has a defense of 1. So my sidekick too will be knocked out and go to the prep area.
At this point, since the attacking and blocking has been done and all damage has been assigned, anything that I sent out of play will end up in my used pile, and I will be done with my turn. I'm going to pass turn to James.
Okay, so now I've got quite a lot of stuff in my used pile. In actual fact, these dice here should have been moved down from out of play into my used pile proper at the end of my last turn. So I've got a pile of dice in used. If I had any unused energy in the reserve pool from last turn, I would move that over now, but I don't. I've also got an empty bag. So what do we do when we've got an empty bag? We refill it from the used pile. So I'll take all of these dice, put them in, and give it a good shake. And as usual, I will take out 4 dice. Look, whoa! I've been quite lucky. The 2 dice that I bought have both come out at the same time, along with a couple of sidekicks. And I should put those in my prep area to show Zach exactly what I have. That's the end of my clear and draw step, and I'm now going to move on to roll and re-roll, and I will roll anything I drew from the bag, plus anything that was in the prep area from a previous turn. Okay, so I'll take those all together and give them a good roll. Okay, that's pretty decent. I've got Rocket on his second side, his character face, so that's got a pretty decent attack. And I've got a sidekick, which is quite nice, but I would definitely like to see Groot on a character face too. So I'm going to keep the energy because Rocket will need fielding and Groot probably will too. And I'm just going to re-roll Groot, I think. All right, I reckon that's. I couldn't hope for better than that. Okay, so I've got Groot on his second face, and now that's my roll and re-roll done. I'm pretty happy with that. And now I'm going to move on to my main step. So I'll pay 1 energy into outer play to field Groot, and I'll field Rocket Raccoon by paying another energy into outer play, and my sidekick fields for free. Outer play, incidentally, is just like a little holding zone where you put energy that has been spent or stuff that has been used on your turn. And at the end of your turn, it moves to the use pile proper. Players often call it transition or transition zone. At the moment, you don't really need to worry about it, but it's quite good hygiene to get into the habit of using it. It'll be important later. Okay, so I've finished my fielding and I don't have any more energy, so I'm certainly not going to be doing any buying. So we're coming to the end of my main step, but before I do finish my main step, I need to ask Zach if he wants to do anything. So, Zach, you have priority. Is there anything that you would like to do?
Well, I do have these 2 energy, so I might have a chance to use something like globals, but we'll come to that in the future. So for now, I'll just pass priority back to James.
Okay, thank you very much. Right, I don't think there's very much more I can do in my main step. So now it's time to decide if I'm going to attack, and if I am, who I'm going to do it with. Well, Zach has got a completely open field, so that means that anyone I attack with will go through unblocked and deal their attack in damage directly to Zach. So that would be pretty good. If I attacked with everybody, I would do a full 6 damage straight to Zach's face, which would be pretty cool. On the other hand, if I attack with everybody, they will all leave my field. They will go first to out of play and then to used, and I will be left with an open field, facing pretty much the same situation when Zach is attacking next turn. So you have to strike a balance between sending some people into attack and keeping some defenders back. All in all, I am going to move to the attack step, and I think I'm going to keep Groot in defense because he's got a nice chunky little bottom, and I'm going to move these 2 fellas into the attack zone to show Zach that I'm declaring them as attackers. Now, Zach, do you have any blockers that you would like to declare?
Ah, no, darn it. Steve Trevor is over here in the prep area because he got knocked out last turn. So unfortunately, I can't assign anyone to block.
Okay, there are no blockers to assign, so now we go on to assigning damage. And as I say, these guys are unblocked, so they will do their attacking damage directly to Zach, and they'll move to out of play. And then it's pretty much the end of my turn. There's very little more I can do, I think. So I will just move these dice from out of play down into my use pile proper. And I'll say to Zach, it's your turn.
All right, so we're going to start with the clear and draw step. And by clear, it means any energy left over my reserve pool is going to get cleared. Unfortunately, you don't get to save energy in your reserve pool for more than 1 turn, and so you can't bank energy that way. Now that I've cleared, it's time to draw dice from my bag. And as always, I'm going to draw 4 dice. 1, 2, 3, 4, and put them in my prep area. Ooh, lucky, I got a Jimmy Olsen die this time. Just like James did last turn, I'm going to roll those 4 dice that I drew, plus any dice in my prep area, like this Steve Trevor die. Moving on to my roll and re-roll step, I'm going to roll those dice. Okay, I got a Jimmy Olsen, and I got Steve Trevor. I do need to save 1 energy to field Jimmy Olsen, but I'd really like to get another sidekick like James did, so I have some more blockers, and I'm not left stuck like I was last turn. So I'm going to save 1 energy, but I'm going to go ahead and roll these other 2 dice. All right, So after my roll and re-roll, I've now got 3 characters and 2 energy. So I'm going to move on to my main step. I will go ahead and field this sidekick for free because its fielding cost is 0. I'm also going to be able to field Steve Trevor for free because at level 1 he's got 0 fielding cost, but only 2 attack and 1 defense. Now I got to spend an energy to get Jimmy Olsen in the field, so I'll go ahead and spend this bolt out of play, and that will put Jimmy Olsen out because he has a fielding cost of 1. And I'm left with just 1 energy, but I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do much with that. That'll be the end of my main step. So once again, I'll pass priority to James. You have anything you want to do, James?
Nope, I've got nothing, Zach. Pass back to you.
Now it's time to move on to the attack step. Steve Trevor has an attack of 2, but so does Jimmy Olsen, and he's got enough defense that he might actually survive the attack. So I think I'll leave Steve Trevor in the field for now, but I'll go ahead and attack with this sidekick and with Jimmy Olsen. I'm going to move both of them into the attack zone to declare both of them as attackers, and now it's James's time to decide how he's going to block.
Okay, so now I'm going to assign blockers, or not. I could, in fact, let them both through. And if I did, they would both do their attacking damage straight to me, which is perhaps not entirely desirable. So I think I would be better off blocking one of them, and I can only block one because Groot can only block one attacker. And I think I will choose to block the one with a higher attack, which I believe is Jimmy with his attack of 2. So I'll move Groot into my attack zone to show that I've assigned him as a blocker. As I can't block the sidekick, obviously that's going to go through and do its damage to me.
So now that blockers have been declared, we're going to do all damage simultaneously. So Jimmy will deal 2 damage to Groot, and my sidekick will deal 1 damage directly to James. Groot's 2 attack is being dealt to Jimmy, but Jimmy has 3 defense, which means he has not taken enough damage that he's going to get knocked out. Because he's blocked but not knocked out, he's going to come back to the field zone. My sidekick was unblocked, and so he'll go through, deal 1 damage to James, and then he'll end up out of play.
I will indicate that I've had damage done to me by moving my d20 down to 19. And the 2 damage that Jimmy did to Groot is not sufficient to knock Groot out because Groot's defense is 6. So Groot 2 will return to the field zone. And the damage that was done to him will clear during Zach's cleanup step. So he will return on my next turn full of vigor and back to full defense.
Now I've got my characters back in the field. During cleanup, my out of play will go to the used pile. That energy will stay there, and that's the end of my turn. Pass turn to James.
Okay, it's my turn again. I've got nothing to clear from my reserve pool, and this time I don't need to refill my bag because there's still dice in it. And in fact, I know what those dice are because the 2 things I bought are out on my playmat, which means that the only things that can be in my bag are sidekicks. So I can get on with my drawing, and I'll take out 4 dice, and surprise, surprise, they are sidekicks. On to my roll and re-roll. Let's see what we get. Okay. Not too bad. I've got 4 energy, so I could, because I have a fist, I could buy a Star-Lord. I couldn't actually buy any of the other characters because I don't have the appropriate energy. But this time, I'm actually not going to buy any characters at all. I am going to do something we haven't really covered yet, which is to buy some basic action dice. The basic actions live in the middle of the table, and they're shared between the 2 players. So both players have access to them. Zach can buy from my basic action cards, and I can buy dice from his basic action cards. In order to buy a basic action die, I need to pay its cost, just like for a character card. But the difference is that basic action cards don't have an energy type, which means that when I pay for it, I can use any energy I want. And that's the reason I didn't need to re-roll. I can use mass, I can use fists, I can use generic energy, as long as I have the number that it says on the card. So for example, to buy a surprise attack die, all I need to do is pay any 2 of these energy into my out of play area, and I can take the die and put it into my use pile because that's where purchased dice go. With my remaining 2 energy, I think I'm going to buy one of Zach's basic action dice. Now, if we were playing face to face, that would be easy enough. I would just put the energy into out of play and reach across the table and take one of Zach's dice. But since we're playing online, I can't do that. So what I've done is, in advance, I've prepared some extra basic action dice, And so what I'll do, I'll pay me energy into out of play as usual. And I will take one of these pre-prepared dice, put it into used. And what Zach will do is remove one of his dice from his misdirection card so that we don't forget that I've already bought one. And at that point, I've spent all my energy, so I don't think there's much more I can do in my main step. So I will pass priority to Zach. Zach, would you like to do anything?
Nope, I will pass priority back.
Thank you very much. I now need to decide whether I want to attack or not. If I don't attack, we're going to go straight to my cleanup step. And if I do attack, I would move Groot into the attack zone and Zach would have to deal with him. But I think I've done all I want to do and I'm going to end my turn there. So I will take these dice from out of play and move them down into the use pile and end my turn. Zach, it's over to you.
We hope you've enjoyed this quick look at attacking and defending. Join us next time when we talk about global abilities and action abilities. But for now, thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.